This is Justin Scoop for SPX on Thursday, September 11th, 2025, remembering 24 years ago, the events of 9/11, 2001, and a very difficult time. And if you didn't stay to the end of yesterday's video, please go back and watch that for the events of yesterday. Uh, Interesting time, interesting things happening in the world. So here we are. We did end up having the futures be up yesterday after when I was doing this video. That continued to be up, and we basically opened, zoom in on the daily, basically opened above the previous day's open. Not quite above the high, but pretty close. Had a little bit of a pullback and then ran up, and we actually just hit this midline. So I'm going to zoom way out. This uptrend is what I drew a while ago with some of the highs we had up here, had extended it down with the midline cutting through, hitting some of these lows, eventually broke down, had a couple gap ups that didn't get back up to the midline, traded down, looked like, oh, maybe it'll bounce, broke down some more, retested, and that was the bigger collapse back in March that we've been on a tear since. We came right back up into this level retesting, came back down, came back up and retested, and this kind of looks like an inverted head and shoulders. Let me just sketch that. Let's see if orange will stand out. So this came down, retested, came down hard, came back up, and there is right along that red line is your inverted head and shoulders. And then kind of putting a flag, kind of another little mini shoulder, maybe an elbow. And then that broke out, and we've kind of just been trading in between. And then today we actually touched the midline again. So this is the first time we've touched the midline. I don't even think we touched it here, and I don't want to move things, but we held it all through this, held it here, held it here. We kind of traded through and didn't hold it as resistance. So this is the only other time where we actually retest it from below and actually hit it. Let's look at that a little closer. So we actually just traded straight on through it that day. So it wasn't even acting as resistance that day. So the fact that we stopped there doesn't really mean much. It could be doing something like this still, or we're just going to continue to run up into the upper area of this channel above the midline. We'll see. If this does act as some resistance, if this is finally enough and then things will sell off, I don't know that it's going to be as strong of a sell-off as this. I guess we'll have to wait and see. So that's the framework I've got on the daily. Now that we've actually touched that, I zoomed out to show where that's coming from. And again, this dotted line, when I switch over to the 3-minute, isn't actually down here. We actually ran up to it up here. So we'd have to turn off extended hours and then it should line up better, but it's around. It's on the daily, it's easy to see. On the 3-minute, it's a little bit off. So anyway, on the 3-minute, we had a high wave candle, traded up a little bit, trapped some bulls, traded back down, and now the bears think, okay, we're sinking this thing, and then it kind of slowed down. At first, this candle was bearish, continuing lower, and then it rallied, and you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bull candles in a row. So at this point, if you missed getting into this down here, which would have been a phenomenal place to get in on at a low on an option, this got down to 1.3. This is the 65.75 call that expired today. If you missed that and it put in 8 bull candles, it's kind of expensive to get in up here around 6. So just go out a little further. Now, if you go all the way out to 6,600, let's see what value 6,600 had when it was actually resting through here. So through here, the option was still around 0.5, 0.4, 0.5, 0.55, all through that. And then it ran up. Actually, that's hard to see. There we go. All right, so it could have been buying at 0.5 and let that, I guess it kind of would have doubled to 1 and then made it a little higher. Didn't quite get to 1.5. And then over here pushed up past 2. So that's pretty good. You just had to wait for, so if you're looking to double, then you can just go from 0.5 to 1. That would have worked. But at 0.5 all the way to 1.5, would not have worked here. And then if you're taking your stop, may have been trailed out a little bit early, trailed out for a small gain or kind of hold it. But you are kind of further away from the money with this one. So what if we come back and look at, okay, we were at the 6,600. We started at the 56.75. Let's go to the 56.85. Let's see just where the prices are on that one and how that moved at that time. Okay, so here's the resting. And in here, it was going down. The lows were pretty close to two, and the highs were kind of closer to three. So this would have been a good one to get in, probably about 2.5 and a stop down around 1.5 and just give it some room. If you did that, so here's where we're at. So I just want to get the number. Okay, so basically around two is on the screen. So a little bit down here is right at two. So if you got in at 2.5, which was about right here, we're in the middle, and a stop down at 1.5, you're risking 100 bucks, and you just let it run. And actually, that first rally coming out of that, which is like that's a nice little rest, and it's not pulling back because you've trapped any bears over here, and it's just going sideways. You just get in when it's going sideways, and it rallies. That first rally, just the next let's call it one, two, three, four, five bull candles is basically this one, two, three, four, five bull candles. And that goes all the way up to a high of 5.84. So you took out this high at four. So let's say you're looking for a move from about 2.5 up to 4.5. There you go. So you made, that's a gain of 200. So you risk 100, made 200. That's a great setup. It's a good one to take. I would think so. If you held on further, it pulled back, went up some more. These pullbacks were four candles here, four candles here. This one had four bear candles, but had a bull candle in between, had four bear candles here, three here. So the most you got was really like four candles, four bear candles in a row. Over here is a little bit of sideways. That is two with a bull candle and three more. So that's kind of 5 out of 6 bear candles. Some of these sideways ones, you sprinkle in a couple more bull candles. Um, there's a number of different places to take on a bull trade with calls and not be so far to the money that you're sticking with the quarters, the 0, 25, 50, 75. So 6,600 or paying up on the 56.75. Um, Besides the calls, the one thing that I also noticed on this is right here at the 1209 central candle. When this moved up here, we went sideways a little bit, and then it started to move back up. But it wasn't going anywhere yet. It was still significantly below these recent lows, but there was just so much premium loss with it going sideways. When this candle happened, look at this put. It totally took out the previous lows of this same put, the 65.50, and then it didn't even retest. This feels really similar to something that happened the other day. So this weekend I'll have to go back and look at which video that was or which day that was where we had some options. Basically, I remember drawing on the screen where so we took out the low. I could draw straight. That's not straight. I'm gonna knock over the microphone. Let's go. Some days I can draw straight. I've not been drinking, but that's straighter. Okay. Didn't even retest anywhere into this and didn't even do that. Just held down here while this is just going sideways. All through this is just more sideways. All during that, this particular call, the 65.85 call, was kind of bouncing around. Let's see. Let me turn all this off. And so all of this in here follows along with a little bit after 12, so around here, right? That's all that. So kept coming down to some lows, running back up. So from like 3 to like 5. Did that a couple times. Oh, it didn't quite do it a couple times. This low is only 3.1. Okay. So it it only did it once really, where you could have gotten in at like 3 and flip it out up at 5. Only the once. Okay. Still though, it was chopping around quite a bit through here, but that's the challenge with some of these. I'm gonna have to zoom in on this section to actually make this stand out a little. There we go. That's a little easier to see what was going on in here. Wow. As soon as I expand that, I'm totally seeing more of a channel here. We've got some higher lows and some higher highs, and that is really, really clean. That looks like the exact same angle. Look at this. We ran right back into that at the end of the day. That's phenomenal. So if you're in a trade, you're in something bullish, buying at the low, selling at the next time it touches that uptrend or the uptrend channel, getting out there, getting out here. Look at that. That would have been great. Just buy here and just ride that, and that's a nice S curve, and then it continues up. And then the put's just sinking. But that's kind of what you see for the call. So you bought there, it retests, goes up more. So this looks more like, yeah, buying down here. And then instead of it just being flat, you could have exited here, but it actually continued up to where the next place is that it was doing that on SPX itself, but it was a little flatter on the call, but it still did push a little bit higher. I don't know. I still might exit here unless I'm really looking for, I guess, a lotto ticket to just see if it's going to run. So that's pretty cool stuff. That's just one of the options. We go back and do this on the 56, the 65.90. We could look at the 65.60 put to see what does that do. There's all these different options to see how are things moving. So that is a good exercise for the weekend to do. I did not prepare that with this thing that I did back on the 2nd, I think that's the date. I still have not updated this one. It's a lot of fun to look through this and see where all the prices, but this one's long gone. And I have to go back and reset all these charts because I had to shut things down and open it back up. And the theoretical value decided to pop back up in here. Anyway, that was last week. Go watch that video if that interests you, and how I get that set up, what I'm looking at, what options, what strikes. I mean, which options, calls or puts, and then which strikes for those calls and puts. So you could do the same thing today with how things moved, how things were really sideways. And yeah, we'll see now what it's going to do now that it's reached this midline. We've kind of been holding right around the 21. Maybe there's like a 25 moving average somewhere in here that's a little lower or smoothed out a little more, that we still closed above both these days. But I guess at this point, if we do pull back, which we kind of need a pullback, right? But it doesn't have to give to us, we should be looking to probably hold a low, probably above 6,400 is my guess. Because that would make this, this is a low, then this is a higher low, this is another higher low. I think not necessarily on the daily, but sorry, there's some rules around like how to call it a higher low and only put in one bear candle here. I kind of want two bear candles making some lower low movements. So like this one came after 1, 2, 3 bear candles. This one only came after one. So I think we would still need to actually hold this low if we were to pull back some and then still bounce and keep the bullish sentiment. I think this is technically the previous low. So then if it takes a couple days to pull back, that could actually come over into this, which would be around the 22nd, for it to hold over here or come down to the lower range of the channel, and then hold this, or maybe a little bit longer into September. So that'd be way over here, right at the end of September. So if we could bounce over here on a bigger pullback, that's going to hold that channel and then look for it to run back up again, probably to 66.50 or something, or maybe 5,700 pretty soon after that. Maybe a Santa Claus rally. I don't know. But we're at a level to watch for. There's also a way to play this bearish with puts. Maybe we'll have a day like this. So we made a nice bull candle, then we gap up and we sell off, and that's a great fade. That could happen too. So let's see what happens if and when we interact with this level some more. That's going to be around 56. I keep saying 56. That's going to be around 6,600, which is a nice round number to say also. 6,600. We'll see if that's a selling point. I don't know. I guess we'll have to check back in on that the next few days to weeks, see how that interacts. But I would guess there's going to be some interaction tomorrow, probably next week. All right, we'll see. This is Justin. Hope this helps. Thanks.